Will Glenn die in this season's final episode of The Walking Dead? There's been a lot of speculation that the arrival of the character Negan will spell the end for Glenn because, as many of you know by now, in the comic book series, Glenn meets a very bloody and catastrophic death. And people have been looking at different scenarios, looking at different clues. A lot of the clues out there are very intricate and detailed, and so many theories are out there. But I think the biggest indicator of whether Glenn will die or not actually comes from Wall Street and the capitalistic incentive. Because here are three fatal assumptions about television shows in particular. Number one, actors don't necessarily want to keep doing the show all the time throughout their career. I mean, these guys have obviously their own motivation, their own monetary motivation to doing a show. And as a show like The Walking Dead becomes popular, they're going to want to have some more cash for each episode that they do. I mean, that's just normal. I mean, if you are doing really great at your job, you're going to want a pay raise. It's the same thing with actors, which brings us to the second point. TV shows have cost structures. Unlike a comic book series where the overhead is basically a pen and paper, TV shows, there's so much maintenance, so much overhead. Not only are you dealing with the actors' salaries, but you have to pay the people that are the videographers, the directors, the story writers. Everybody has to get paid. Nobody on The Walking Dead is doing it just because they love the show. I mean, it's just pretty obvious. It's their livelihood, it's their job, and there's always going to be costs associated with it. And obviously, the big incentive here for the TV studios is to keep those costs down to a minimum. Number three, major studios, they always have to worry about shareholders' return on investment because AMC, the network that carries The Walking Dead, that's a publicly traded company. And they can't just willy-nilly everything that they do without having a concern for the shareholders. So the way that the TV shows that they operate, the way that the storyline progresses, it has to incorporate a lot of financial incentives. It has to follow through a particular financial and corporate strategy. If it doesn't make sense financially, it probably won't write it down in the actual script of the show. Now, here are three interesting facts specific to The Walking Dead that go along with those three assumptions. Number one, Norman Reedus is 47 years old. I mean, he's getting up there. And he realizes, especially him, that he's got a very short lifespan in terms of being a Hollywood star. He probably doesn't want to continue doing a basic cable television show. I mean, it's great. The Walking Dead is a brilliant show, but would he rather be up on the big screen? I think he would much rather be on the big screen. Also, you have to consider Lauren Cohan's star is rising rapidly. She was a star, of course, in the recent horror flick The Boy, and I think a lot of studios are they have their eyes on her, and she also doesn't necessarily want to continue doing a basic cable television show if she has major movie studios that are offering her big time roles for major films. This is just a personal capitalistic incentive here, and it'll be crazy if either one of these two stars would turn it down. Second fact, AMC has one of the best profitability margins in the television industry. And that's one of the reasons why Walking Dead has been so successful financially for the company, because they keep those margins low. I mean, if you look at some of the celebrity rumors, you'll notice that a lot of the actors, the main actors in The Walking Dead, have been demanding pay raises. They've been paying well below the industry standard, especially for one of the best shows on television. So all the actors basically want a pay raise. And if that's the case, and AMC has to abide by that demand, that's going to eat away at those profitability margins. And that's going to be a problem because outside of the profitability margins, AMC as a company fundamentally, it's a questionable company. Especially look at the debt level of AMC. I mean, they have huge amounts of long-term debt. And investors need to feel comfortable. And one of the ways that they feel comfortable about investing in AMC stock is those profitability margins. Now, if those profitability margins go away, then there's really, it starts to become questionable whether investors really find value in AMC as an investment. Now, the third fact is AMC stock, which is ticker symbol AMCX, is down 12% year to date. And it's also been declining since the summer of 2015. That means that the management of whoever controls the financials for these popular TV shows like The Walking Dead, they're going to have to be very careful on how to manage that money. And I would say that they're probably more inclined to off somebody who is a popular actor that is going to demand a significant pay raise rather than have that actor just kind of walk away. Maybe they have them meet a very unexpected end, and that would drive a lot of viewership, and then that in turn could potentially drive investor sentiment back into AMCX, because AMCX, it did really well in 2015, even with the decline during the summer period, because it did so well in the first half of 2015. But since the summer of 2015, it's been dropping. And again, the stock is down 12% year to date. It's in what technical analysts would call a consolidation pattern. And usually consolidation patterns follow the dominant trend before it. Well, the dominant trend in this case is very bearish. That means, according to standard technical analysis, that there is a higher probability that AMCX will continue to slide. Obviously, management is looking for ways to raise the price of AMCX, not going the other way. So they want to be very, very careful on how to approach this. Here's my final fact. Steven Yeun, who plays Glenn, he's obviously very Asian. I don't think that Hollywood finds much demand for Asian actors. And I think the producers understand it. I think there's been a lot of this, toying with the audience of will Glenn die or not die, because to AMC and their management team, I think it's free money. It's a way to jimmy up viewership, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to off him, because then you have to keep the higher profile people on your payroll, and those people are also personally looking for more lucrative, more projects with higher visibility. So to me, Wall Street and the whole financial incentives around television shows, I think it's telling me that Glenn is going to survive season 6.